Welcome to This Explainer. You know those terrifying financial headlines about middle-aged wealth lately? The ones that just make your stomach drop? Well, today we are cutting right through the clickbait. We're going to look directly at the real financial reality of 45-year-olds in 2026 to find out exactly where you stand.
Picture this. Meet Dave. He's 45. It's Saturday morning. He's standing in his kitchen in sweatpants, clutching a cold cup of coffee. He's staring at his phone, reading this exact quote. The average American in their mid-40s has a net worth of almost $1 million. To be specific, Federal Reserve data says it's $975,800. But the thing is, Dave doesn't have $1 million. He's got a 401k he's kind of afraid to even open, a mortgage with 22 years left on it, and he's wondering why his bank account doesn't look anything like that headline.
And like millions of us today, Dave is spiraling. He's trying to figure out if he made some catastrophic life mistake along the way. Is everyone else secretly rich, or is he just failing at being a responsible adult? Well, looking at the data, I actually have some very good news. That headline, it's a completely mathematically laundered lie. Something is definitely wrong, but it isn't Dave.
Okay, let's break down this massive gap. The whole problem boils down to one single word: average. Sure, the average net worth for this age group is technically $975,800, but the median, the actual, true middle point, is $247,200. There is a staggering $728,600 gap between those two numbers. You see, the average is completely skewed by the ultra-wealthy, whereas the median represents the actual, boots-on-the-ground reality of your neighbor, or someone like Dave. Think of it like this. When you calculate an average, you just add everyone's wealth together and divide it up. So if you put Jeff Bezos and 9 broke guys in a room, the average net worth of that room is suddenly $21 billion. Technically true, right? But practically useless. It's literally like averaging the net worth of Jeff Bezos and a raccoon. Technically, the raccoon is now a billionaire, but you probably wouldn't ask him for a loan. When the financial media blasts that $1 million average, they're basically putting billionaires and a guy driving a 2014 Camry in the exact same room and pretending they're the same person. So here's the actual scoreboard for age 45. Take your assets, subtract your debts. If you have anything under $48,000, you're in the bottom 25%. Mathematically speaking, if you have around $250,000 in net worth, that $247,000 mark, you are exactly the median. You are right in the dead center of the pack. To hit the top 25%, you need about $680,000. And to crack the top 10%, you're looking at $1.4 million. Now here is the catch. Most people hear $250,000 and think, hey, not bad. But that number is hiding something incredibly crucial. Most of that median net worth isn't actually cash that Dave can use. Roughly 60 to 70% of his entire net worth is completely locked up inside his house. If you subtract his home equity, Dave is only left with about $87,000 for absolutely everything else: retirement, emergencies, college funds, the whole shebang.
Because let's be real, drywall looks fantastic on a balance sheet, but home equity is not liquid money. You literally cannot eat home equity. When gas is $3.70 a gallon and the kids want pizza, Dave can't just hand a house deed to the cashier at Kroger to magically turn that equity into cash. He has exactly 3 options: sell the house and buy another ridiculously expensive one, refinance and pay massive closing costs, or take out a home equity line of credit at 9% interest, which is basically just a bank charging him a premium to borrow his own money.
And if you thought that illiquid wealth trap was stressful, brace yourself, because the retirement accounts look even worse. $60,763. That is the actual median 401k balance for Americans aged 45 to 54.
This perfectly illustrates the crisis we're talking about. Fidelity has this gold standard rule of thumb. By age 50, you should have 6 times your annual salary saved up. For a median household income, that benchmark says Dave should have about $700,000 sitting in his retirement accounts right now. But when you add up all the actual retirement savings across all accounts, IRAs, pensions, 401ks, the median sits at a bleak $115,000. Dave is roughly 10 times behind where the financial industry says he should be.
And honestly, it gets more alarming. It's not just that people are behind. 3 out of every 8 households, we're talking 38% of Americans in their mid-40s to mid-50s, have essentially zero retirement savings. Absolutely nothing meaningful saved for their future, right during their peak earning years.
Now wait, before we start blaming bad spending habits or daily coffee runs, look at this reality: -7%. Between 2019 and 2023, while literally every other age bracket in America gained wealth in real terms, the 40 to 54 age group actually lost 7%. Think about it. If you were 35 back in 2012, you were still recovering from 2008, your wages were likely stagnant, and you totally missed the decade of cheap mortgages and roaring markets. By the time you actually had enough saved to buy a home, prices had tripled. This generation lost 7% because they missed the easiest wealth-building window right when it was their turn to walk through it.
To make matters even harder, Gen X is currently carrying the highest total debt load of any generation in America. The average Gen Xer is sitting on over $158,000 in total debt. They hold about $9,600 just in credit card debt, at interest rates soaring over 21%. That means their credit card interest is literally growing faster than the average 401k. And on top of that, about 1 in 10 are paying off Parent Plus loans at a staggering 9.08% interest rate, just trying to help their kids get through college.
This whole situation perfectly captures a massive demographic phenomenon. Dave, like so many others, is officially part of the sandwich generation. These are middle-aged adults getting absolutely mathematically squeezed from both ends of their family tree. More than half of Americans in their 40s are currently supporting an aging parent while also raising a child or financially supporting an adult child at the exact same time.
The absolute key takeaway here is that Dave is not irresponsible. Just look at his monthly reality. He's shelling out $1,400 to help cover his mom's assisted living. His adult son moved back home, representing roughly $1,384 in financial support. Plus, that Parent Plus loan is chewing up another $235 a month just in interest alone. It is structurally impossible for him to max out his 401k while trying to pay for 3 generations out of one single paycheck.
Because of this insane squeeze, a lot of 45-year-olds are secretly crossing their fingers that the great wealth transfer is going to swoop in and save their retirement. But Dave really needs to wake up here. For the median American, the inheritance from the bottom half of the wealth distribution is just $9,700. That is not generational wealth, folks. That's a 2014 Corolla with a check engine light on.
So why is it so incredibly low? One word: healthcare. The average cost of end-of-life care is hovering around $137,000, and retirement health care adds another $172,000 on average. This isn't a character flaw, it is just cold, hard math. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities are quietly eating up the exact equity that parents intended to pass down to their kids. Every single month Dave's mom is in care, his inheritance shrinks.
Okay, let's look at the final looming piece of this puzzle, the impending Social Security wall. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by 2035, which means an automatic 23% benefit cut, unless Congress steps in to intervene. Now, the oldest Gen Xers reach full retirement age in 2032, meaning the system hits a brick wall exactly 3 years after they cross the finish line.
So let's recap. Illiquid net worth, massive debt, the sandwich generation squeeze, vanishing inheritances, and Social Security cuts. Dave's balance sheet feels like an absolute disaster right now. But is his financial future completely doomed? Well, despite this structural nightmare he feels trapped in, he actually still holds one massive, irreplaceable advantage.
Sure, the window to build wealth the easy way, like snapping up cheap real estate back in 2012, that's closed. But at age 45, the 20-year compounding window is still wide open. Dave has 20 solid years before he hits 65 to let disciplined saving and compound interest do the heavy lifting for him. The math is definitely tight, but it is absolutely not hopeless.
Here is the highly actionable math that can truly change everything. Picture Dave again, Monday morning, still in those sweatpants, but this time he makes 2 completely frictionless moves. Step 1, he opens his 401k app and bumps his contribution to 10%, which is an extra $390 a month. Step 2, he calls HR and sets up an auto draft of $300 straight to an IRA. Boom. That's about $700 a month shifted directly into a compounding machine.
Assuming a standard 7% return over the next 20 years, that single 15-minute intervention will generate an extra $380,000 by the time he retires. No, that doesn't make him a billionaire, but it is literally the difference between genuine financial security and total panic. One simple conversation fundamentally changes the entire trajectory of his life.
Ultimately, this explainer is a statistical reality check. The average 45-year-old isn't failing. They are just running a race nobody told them started 15 years ago. But the finish line, well, the finish line won't wait. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the statistical reality, will you let these numbers defeat you, or will you turn on the compounding machine today and finish the race on your own terms?